The asteroid belt outside the Hiron cluster was a graveyard. Abandoned mining rigs and fractured freighters drifted through the void, their metal skeletons gleaming like bones in the sunlight of a dying star. Most travelers avoided it. Most travelers were careful. I was not careful. I had been assigned to track and terminate an alien operative known only as Celera, a woman whose intelligence networks had been destabilizing entire systems. The Council of United Colonies had labeled her a threat, a saboteur, and a danger to interstellar commerce. I was a manhunter, a human bred and trained for efficiency, for elimination, for precision. My mind was a tool sharpened by decades of programming and field experience. I did not hesitate. I did not doubt. I did not fail. Until the day I met her. Celera was expecting a predator. She prepared for one. But she had not expected me. The first encounter happened near the ruins of an old refueling station orbiting an icy moon. I observed her from my cloaking field, scanning the area. Sensors detected her presence first, a faint bioluminescent pulse under the shadow of the station. She moved like liquid metal, silent and deliberate, a predator herself. Every instinct I had as a manhunter told me, eliminate first, ask questions never. But then I saw it. The creature she had feared. A massive, multi-limbed drone-like predator, its exoskeleton bristling with energy weapons, rounded the corner. It did not register my cloaking field. Celera froze. Her gaze locked on the approaching threat, her pulse quickening. In that moment, the alien woman, the so-called saboteur, was nothing but a fragile being surrounded by steel and death. Fired. Not at her. Not at her drone. At the creature. The energy pulse hit its hull, slicing through the armor like it was paper. Sparks and plasma sprayed across the cold void as it staggered backward. Celera blinked, confused, and then recognized the pattern in my targeting. My programming had overridden her expectation. I was supposed to be her executioner. Instead, I became her shield. "You're human," she whispered, voice trembling. I did not answer. The creature was not finished yet. It lunged at her, its claws extended, energy tendrils thrumming along its limbs. I stepped forward, weapons trained. My targeting systems predicted its movements before it even completed them. Another shot, precise, and it collapsed into a heap of smoking metal. Celera stared at me, incredulous. "Why?" "Orders changed," I said simply. It was true, but only partially. The Council had given me latitude to neutralize threats by any means necessary. I had exercised judgment, something I had never done before, something I had been trained not to do. She lowered herself from the shadow of the station, cautious but not running. "I was supposed to die here," she said. "They said nothing human would protect me." "I am human," I replied. "And I chose to act. That choice would ripple through the rest of my existence." We left the asteroid belt together, navigating through derelict vessels and drifting debris. Celera explained her mission as we went. Her people, the Valorians, were fighting a war of survival against a coalition of synthetic entities, autonomous machines that had gone rogue centuries ago. The Council of United Colonies had mistaken her actions for sabotage, but in reality, she was attempting to prevent planetary annihilation. "You saved my life," she said as we entered the transit corridor of my ship. "Why?" I did not answer immediately. Humans were not taught to explain their motives to aliens, especially those who had been programmed to distrust us. But she did not press. She understood instinctively that my actions had been deliberate, guided by something more than duty, choice. Days passed in silence. The void stretched endlessly, punctuated only by the cold lights of distant stars. I maintained vigilance, scanning for threats. Celera observed, but she did not interfere. I began to notice small things. Her hands trembled when she held controls designed for her physiology. Her eyes reflected starlight differently than any humans, giving her expressions a haunting beauty. Despite her alertness, I realized that she had never encountered a human who acted outside expected behavior. Not aggression, not exploitation, not fear, choice. On the 5th day, a transmission reached us. The Council had issued a new directive: eliminate both the rogue alien and the human manhunter associated with her. They believed I had defected. Celara's eyes narrowed as she heard the broadcast. They want to kill you too, she asked. They always do, I replied. But I am not concerned. Not yet. Her expression softened. For the first time, she allowed herself a measure of trust. Then we are allies. Yes, I said. For now. Our alliance was tested sooner than expected. As we approached the outer rim of the Atraxian sector, a rogue fleet of synthetic drones descended upon us. Their numbers were overwhelming, and their weapons more advanced than any I had faced. Celera prepared to engage, her bioluminescent body pulsing with energy. I prepared my ship, systems honed to the edge of maximum output. You fight differently, she observed, as I synchronized my actions with the movements of her vessel. Your species surprises me. You've not seen the worst yet, I replied with grim humor. The battle was brutal. Our combined efforts were the difference between survival and annihilation. Celara's psionic abilities disrupted the drone's navigation systems, while my tactical calculations anticipated their attacks and countered with precision strikes. We moved as a single unit, alien and human, predator and protector intertwined. When the last drone was disabled, silence returned to the void. Smoke drifted from our ships. Celera looked at me with a mixture of respect and disbelief. You risked everything for me. You should have followed orders. I followed a different order, I said. One I wrote for myself. She smiled faintly, a luminous curve of trust forming where suspicion had been. Perhaps humans are not entirely predictable, she murmured. Weeks passed as we traveled together. She taught me to understand her abilities, and I taught her the subtleties of human tactics: stealth, misdirection, and improvisation. Each lesson deepened the bond of mutual respect, though we rarely spoke of the strange connection forming between us. Words were unnecessary when survival demanded instinct, precision, and understanding. Eventually, we arrived at the Valorian Homeworld, a planet of iridescent oceans and crystalline forests. Her people awaited us cautiously. They had expected her to return alone, or not at all. When they saw the human at her side, a murmur ran through the ranks. Celera introduced me not as a soldier, not as a threat, but as a partner, an unusual choice given the tension between our species. The elders observed quietly, weighing the anomaly. I did not speak. My actions, not words, had earned their consideration. During the council deliberations, the elders asked why I had spared her life. Why risk your own existence for a Valorian operative? One elder asked, voice tinged with suspicion. I paused, and then I said simply, because the one who faces death should not face it alone. Not if it can be prevented. The room fell silent. They had not expected a human to articulate such reasoning, let alone act upon it. Celera placed her hand on mine, a gesture of gratitude and trust, and the elders nodded. In the days that followed, alliances were forged. The synthetic threat was assessed with combined human and Valorian strategy. What had begun as a mission to terminate a rogue alien operative became a coalition of species prepared to defend their worlds with cooperation rather than conflict. On my last night on her world, I stood atop a crystalline tower, looking out over the bioluminescent forests. Celera approached silently. "You could return to your people," she said. "The Council will forgive you if you claim you were following orders. And abandon this?" I asked, gesturing at the sprawling planet below, alive with movement, colors, and life beyond anything Earth had ever known. "No," she said softly. "I did not save you just for you to leave." I smiled faintly, realizing that the bond forged in the void had transformed my understanding of duty. I had been a manhunter, trained to kill without question. Now I had chosen protection, alliance, and perhaps something deeper. "I will stay," I said. She nodded, her eyes reflecting starlight, the same as the day I first protected her from certain death. Together we watched the twin suns set over the horizon of her homeworld, knowing that the choices we made had not only saved a life, but reshaped the fates of two species forever. And in that moment I understood. Being a manhunter was not about eliminating threats. It was about choosing who or what to protect.